You don't have time to reread Fourth Wing? Here's a 5-minute refresher on what happened in the Empyrean Series Book 1.
The book opens on Violet. She is the daughter of General Sorrengail, who is a famous, very powerful dragon rider. Her brother, who passed in battle, Brennan, he is also a really incredibly powerful dragon rider, and her sister Mira is famous dragon rider as well. Her father was a scribe, and she has a weak body with weak joints. She doesn't have that physical fitness, so she's always thought she would be a scribe as well, except for her mother has different ideas, and she forces her into the dragon rider squadron. Now, Violet has no idea what she's doing. She has no idea how to do hand-to-hand combat. She doesn't know anything about dragons or how to ride them, but she decides she's going to nail this. So she takes conscription day, and she goes across a parapet. Now, that is this like stone walkway that's 18 inches wide and 200 feet off the ground, and people are falling off it. It's absolutely horrible, but she makes it across. No thanks to the guy behind her, Jack. Jack Barlow is like constantly trying to kill her, and his first attempt is on the parapet. Once she gets across, she meets Vane, who is her childhood best friend, and she gets to be in his squad. So she's like, okay, he'll protect me. And then she finds out that in the Rider Squadron is also Xaden Rorston. He is kind of a built-in arch enemy of hers. His father led a rebellion that her mother squashed. Her mother killed his father. His father killed her brother. It's all kind of like a messy web, but she thinks he's going to try and kill her. So she knows she's in trouble from all around. They start training. Violet's not really making it through the physical stuff very well, but she has a few friends that are really trying to get her by. Now, in that time, she goes out to the forest because she has a plan to get her by a couple of these sparring challenges, and she sees Xaden in the forest with a bunch of his friends who are also rebellion children. And she listens in. She hears they're not doing anything too nefarious, so she decides not to report it. Xaden knows that she saw him and is really surprised when she's kind of on his side. Training starts to get more serious. They're going into these things called battle briefs, which explain all of these little battles that they're having with the kingdom of Peromiel, which is a neighboring kingdom that has griffin riders. And these problems are happening more and more and more, and it's very clear in those battle briefs that something is going on. They're not getting all of the information, though. Meanwhile, Violet goes out to the forest to kind of forage for some stuff that she can make poison with, because she knows she's not going to be able to win these sparring battles on her own. When she's in the forest, she sees Xaden meeting with a bunch of different rebellion children, and she listens in. He's not doing anything too nefarious, so she decides she's not going to say anything. They're not supposed to meet, but she's not going to shout them out. He knows that she saw him, and he finds out she's not going to report him, and they kind of start to soften to one another. Her squad spends a lot of time training for this thing called the Gauntlet, which is this vertical obstacle course. They get through it on Gauntlet Day and officially go to presentation, where they walk through this big field full of dragons, so dragons can get a feel for the riders that are available. A couple days later, they go into something called Threshing, where they go into a field and they have to find a dragon to bond with. Now, Violet's slowly losing hope. She's not finding a dragon, but she does come across a couple guys who are talking about hunting a golden feathertail, which is this young, very vulnerable dragon that shouldn't really be out in the field anyway, but Violet can't leave it alone. She's not going to let this dragon die, so she follows them and takes them on as they go against this very young dragon. She maims two of them. One of them runs away, and as she's about to get bested, this giant black dragon lands behind her. His name is Taryn, and he kills one of her attackers and then bonds her. He's like, you're mine. She's like, wait a second, you're the second biggest dragon in the continent. Like, what are you talking about? I'm broken. And he's like, no, I like you. And they go to write their name in the scribe's books, which makes it official. As they're doing that, she hears another voice. It's that golden dragon, and she's like, wait, I also want to bond you. Riders aren't allowed to bond two dragons. The humans, they're like, absolutely not. The dragon riders are like, no, this can't happen. The dragons go off, they talk, they come back, and they're like, guess what? It is happening. So now Violet has two dragons. Violet finds out that then she's tied to Xaden. Xaden's dragon is named Sagal. She's this giant dark blue dragon. Her mate is Taryn. So now if Violet dies, Taryn dies, which then impacts Sagal and kills Xaden. Big circle of death, apparently. So all of Xaden's friends and his rebellion children friends, they know they have to protect Violet. So they assign Violet a bodyguard named Liam. In the middle of the night, one night, she's attacked by 6 people. She is about to get bested when all of a sudden time stops. Turns out that golden dragon, her name is Andarna, can stop time. She narrowly escapes. Xaden kills all 6 of them and then is like, Liam, you have to stay on her 24/7. When a dragon is bonded to his rider, he gives her power. So Taryn starts to channel through Violet. She can feel his feelings, she can talk to him in her head, and she can feel when him and Sagal are starting to get frisky. So one night, all of a sudden, she's like overcome by lust. She has to like run out of the barracks to like kind of catch her breath. She runs into Xaden, who's like, I know what you're feeling because I feel it on Sagal's side, and he teaches her how to block it out. Meanwhile, they kiss, and it's explosive. And Xaden's like, wait a second, I can't kiss you because you're not of your right mind. So he pulls away, and months go by. Now it's springtime, and the squad has won something called the Squad Wars, which is basically like a Dragon Rider type field day if you were ever a kid. They win the Squad Wars, and they get to go out to an active outpost to learn more about active war, and they go to an outpost that has Violet's sister at it. So they have a very emotional reunion, but they also get to learn from Mira as she talks to them about real-time war, what it's like. They talk about strategy, and as they're getting into it, the outpost is attacked. It's violent. Griffin riders are everywhere, and Mira forces Xaden to take her away. Now she's devastated. Xaden kisses her again, but she just can't think of anything else but leaving her sister. She's absolutely adamant she won't do it. He gets her to leave. Turns out Mira survives, but it was really emotional. They go back to Bagskythe. They are dealing with more death threats, more battles, more sparring, and those battle briefs get less and less informative. It's clear they're hiding something, the higher-ups are, but nobody knows what it is. They start something called war games, which is basically a simulation of a battle. And in the first war game, Jack, that pain in the butt, stabs Liam, who is Violet's friend now and bodyguard. He stabs him through. Violet is desperate to save him, and she figures out that she can stop time again through Andarna. She stops time, and then she channels lightning, which is Taryn's power to her. That's her signet. She is a lightning wielder. She channels it for the first time, kills Jack, and saves Liam. Violet and Xaden end up together that night, and it's explosive. The whole room is destroyed around them. There's lightning and shadows, and it's so romantic. But at the end of it, Violet tells him she can't separate the physical from the emotional with him, and she won't be with him unless he can acknowledge that there's feelings there. He says there's no future for them, so Violet's like, all right, cool, we're not doing this. Weeks go by. Weeks. There's a party that celebrates Reunification Day, which is when the rebellion was shut down, when Xaden's father was killed. Violet finds him on the parapet thinking about his dad. They have a really good talk. They decide they're going to try this, but that there has to be some limits and they have to set some boundaries, but they definitely have something there and they're attracted to one another. Their reunion is broken apart by another war game. It's the middle of the night. Everybody has to come to formation. They learn that there's another war game. They break apart Fourth Wing, and Xaden's group is going out past the wards to help defend this outpost. And it's all supposed to be a game. He takes Violet. Dane, her best friend, comes up to her and says, don't go with him. She's like, oh, but I have to. And he's like, she's coming with me. And she leaves. His last words to her are, I'll miss you. They go past the wards, they land, and all of a sudden, all these Griffin riders land around them. Turns out Xaden has been working with the Griffin Riders and the rebellion is still well and alive. Violet is shocked. She's so upset he would lie to her. But she finds out that the Griffin Riders have been defending against Venin, which are these dark, horrible magic wielders that have no soul and all they want is more, and they're totally evil. And they're picking apart the kingdom of Bromiel. The Griffin Riders are trying to save them, and Xaden is trying to help them because he knows the battle's going to come to Navarre's front door. Violet's world is turned upside down, and it turns out, just at that moment, they find out that Dane betrayed them. He read her mind, found out that Xaden was working for the other side, told his father, and they all put them in a situation where they're battling real Venin. They end up in this huge, huge battle, and right as Violet's about to be killed, Liam comes in and saves her. His dragon is killed in the process, and Liam ends up dying because of their connection. Violet gets super mad, she wields a ton of lightning, kills some Venin, and then the battle's over, but she's stabbed in the process with a poison dagger. Xaden realizes that she's going to die. He brings her to the only person that he knows can heal her, her brother Brennan, who is not dead. And his last words are, hey, Violet, welcome to the Resistance.
Stay tuned. Iron Flame is next.